Thank you for tuning in once again to his Vine and Fig Tree podcast. My name is Kurt Olson. I'm your host, coming to you on the afternoon of June 10th, 2026. Um, Four quick things I'm going to bring to your attention. We're going to start in LA. Two of them involve crimes, and the last one involves some other countries in the Western Hemisphere. But we're going to start in LA. A week ago on my podcast, we just had the initial results of the election in California. And of course, it takes forever and a day to count votes in California, which is suspicious enough. And everything that is being done in this country to destroy the system of self government, um, totally different issue. Spencer Pratt. On election night, Spencer Pratt was in second place. And he was getting 30% of the vote. The question would be, could Spencer Pratt win one-on-one against Karen Bass, the incumbent mayor? Um, Anyone's guess. Even though he was running a really creative campaign in a lot of different ways. But there's some evidence that something very peculiar happened. And there are some folks in LA that are really angry about it. The feds are trying to do some investigating about the election in California. California is doing some stonewalling, and they have some upset citizens or residents of LA. But there was a ballot dump in the wee hours of the morning between June 2nd and June 3rd, a week ago. And there were 24,000 ballots that were a ballot dump. And a guy that was getting 30% of the vote in advance of that got 0 votes in that ballot dump, which is a statistical impossibility. Absolutely, positively, a statistical impossibility. And I'm going to share something in the description to the podcast. It's a really short video that some folks have made that talk about what happened with that ballot dump and how it's impossible. It's impossible. And I believe there's fraud. And I believe we have people that are producing investigative pieces from James O'Keefe to a variety of others. Seen some stuff with the New York Post as well, talking about how homeless people were bought off to vote certain ways. Got reports of various things happening. I haven't heard a thing about what Spencer Pratt intends on doing. Frankly, he certainly should have had some lawyers attached to his team in advance and prepared for something like this. But don't know what's going to happen, because what's happened in the week since, Nithya Raman, who conceded on election night, surpassed Spencer Pratt. And for example, this woman couldn't even win her own neighborhood. And she started getting 40% of the vote in other parts of the city. And really odd things unfolding, that people who are far better at math than I am are indicating that it is virtually impossible that that kind of thing can happen. So, LA, California, blue state, just their elections are a mess, an absolute mess. And frankly, I don't live in California. I've never lived in California. Why do these people put up with it? Why do these people put up with it? Um, Secondly, we're going to North Carolina. A number of months ago, I came across something that, and it was a TV um, news broadcast of a candidate for office in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. And I understand this is the Charlotte area. And there was a guy running for a county office in one of the districts they have that make up the county. And this guy was the only Republican on the ballot in Mecklenburg County. And he had gunfire at his house. Bullet holes were seen in the trees on the property, cars, mailbox, kids' basketball hoop. Marin's entire family was forced to leave their home. And Aaron Marin says they live in constant fear. Well, since that event that happened months ago unfolded, he dropped out of the race. And this is getting nearly zero attention beyond the state of North Carolina. And this guy dropped out because he feared for the life of he and his family. In fact, the story is he says his kids no longer even feel safe to play outside and they are moving. So they're not even going to be possibly in Mecklenburg County, totally somewhere else. And Aaron Marin, a Republican, the only Republican running in District 1 in Mecklenburg County, Charlotte, North Carolina, dropped out of the race. And even law enforcement says the specifically confirmed the attack was targeted at the guy, and one can only believe the politics of things were involved. And it would be another instance of a Republican being shot at. Thankfully, no injuries or deaths, but there were ramifications from it. The next place we're going to go to is Minnesota. Now, this is another story this week where I'm going to try and find the two best accounts of this that I can, so people who are interested in reading it themselves can do so. This is North Mankato, Minnesota. Anyone who watched Little House on the Prairie back in the day will know that Walnut Grove was in Minnesota, and there were times that the Ingalls went to Mankato. This is that Mankato. Obviously, a very different time and place, or at least a different time period. And but this happened just recently. Saturday, May 23rd. A kid by the name of Tyson Goodsell, a 17-year-old, was leaving work, heading home, and he was ambushed and shot in the head, killed. All of this happened around 11 o'clock or thereabouts. And the police have made some arrests. And some of these people have foreign surnames. And the backstory to what happened and why some people were creating problems for Tyson Goodsell, a 17-year-old football player um, in that city. Um, again, trying to get the best accounts that I can so people can read the details themselves. And what's so striking about this is a story that you would think would have made national news by now. It hasn't. The only thing that became a CBS News piece was a CBS affiliate in Minneapolis did a story on it. That is the only thing that resembles something that with a name that is more national. Everything else about this crime is based in Minnesota, and the newspapers there and the TV stations are still trying to figure out what motivations were that drove this crime to happen. But a 17-year-old white football player was killed in cold blood and about 11 o'clock at night. And it is a situation that really demands something beyond what is very meager media attention at this time, and basically solely focused in Minnesota. But that happened within the last, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, uh, in North Mankato, Minnesota. The last thing I want to bring to your attention here is a trend that we see happening. Now, it requires a little context. Now, if you go back to when Trump 2 started in 2025, Elon Musk had Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency. It was his merry band of tech gurus who would go into these agencies, start going through contracts and other data, and they were piecing together where there was waste, fraud, abuse, other things that easily could have been brought to the attention of the Congress so that they could make the proper adjustments and start saving the American people some money. The Congress has yet to even do that. They've done little things related to Doge, nothing substantial. But one of the things we learned during that entire episode was the USAID. And USAID was doing some really good stuff, which was um, helping poor nations that, let's say, didn't have a lot of food supply and medicine, helping them. But we also had situations where NGOs were being created outside of funding from USAID, and they were sticking their nose in countries all around the world. And one of the upshots of that is some information that is now coming forth after a right of center candidate in Peru won the election there. Her name is Keiko Fujimori, and she's won the presidency in Peru, South American country on the Pacific coast, and other countries that have elected right of center candidates since all this stuff that unfolded with USAID came about. Chile, Bolivia, Ecuador, Honduras, and Costa Rica. So we have sections of Central America and several countries in South America that have been fundamentally altered politically just by the USAID no longer having their nose in foreign governments and the elections of that are unfolding in foreign countries, which is very interesting to say the least. But that's all I have this week. Those 4 quick stories. There will be some links in the description to the podcast. Be looking for them. And I have a new column dropping this week on some things related to the war with Iran. Just some things that continue to be just mystifying. I'll leave it at that. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and if you like what you're hearing from these podcasts, and if you like what you're reading in the columns, please share them. And for those who do, I would thank you in advance for that. And until next time, God bless and goodbye.